These are the billionaires and powerful figures whose names appear thousands of times in over 6 million pages of documents detailing Jeffrey Epstein's criminal network. In January 2026, the Justice Department released over 3 million pages of documents, 180,000 images, and 2,000 videos. And buried within those files is a name that appears almost 36,377 times: Karina Shuliak, a Belarusian dentist who was the last person to speak with Epstein before his death and who stood to inherit $100 million from his estate. On November 18, 2025, the House voted 427-1 to pass the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The Senate approved it unanimously the same day, and President Trump signed it on November 19th. When the December 19th deadline arrived, what the public received was heavily redacted, with at least 550 pages completely blacked out, and the redactions were so poorly executed that anyone could recover blacked-out content simply by copying and pasting it into another application. On January 30, 2026, the floodgates opened, and over 3 million pages stored as over 300 gigabytes of data became public. And within this massive release, patterns emerged that would expose the financial relationships between Epstein and some of the world's wealthiest men. Leon Black, the billionaire co-founder of Apollo Global Management, paid Epstein, who was neither a licensed tax attorney nor a certified public accountant, a total of $158 million between 2012 and 2017. Documents reveal that money paid by Black to Epstein was used to finance Epstein's sex trafficking operations, and a transaction Epstein devised helped Black avoid more than $1 billion in federal taxes. In a birthday book compiled for Epstein's 50th birthday in 2003, Black contributed a handwritten poem that read, "Blonde, red, or brunette, spread out geographically, with this net of fish, Jeff's now the old man and the sea," and he signed it, "Love and Kisses, Leon." Leslie Wexner, the 88-year-old founder of Victoria's Secret, appears in FBI documents written just 5 days after Epstein's death as one of Epstein's co-conspirators, a label that appeared alongside Ghislaine Maxwell's name. For some 20 years, Epstein served as Wexner's power of attorney, which meant he was able to buy, sell, and borrow in Wexner's name. Wexner claims Epstein stolen several $100 million from his family, and Epstein eventually returned $100 million as part of a private settlement in early 2008. Tech billionaire Elon Musk appears in email exchanges from 2012 and 2013 discussing visits to Epstein's island, and in a 2012 email, Musk wrote back that it would be only him and his then-wife, Tallulah Riley, wondering what night would yield the wildest party. Google co-founder Sergey Brin exchanged multiple messages with Ghislaine Maxwell, and files revealed that Bill Gates appeared in a draft email where Epstein alleged Gates had engaged in extramarital affairs and sought his help sourcing medicine to deal with consequences of sex with Russian girls. Now let's talk about Karina Shuliak, because she was 20 years old when she first came to the United States from Belarus in 2010, having struck up a relationship with Epstein while living in Minsk. Documents include emails in which Epstein coached Shuliak on how to secure permission to enter the U.S. as a cleaning lady, and Epstein paid for Shuliak to complete her dentistry studies at Columbia University in New York, where she was admitted through an irregular process that overlapped with fundraising outreach to Epstein. Their relationship lasted roughly 9 years, from 2010 until his arrest in 2019, a relationship that began shortly after Epstein was released from a Florida jail for procuring a minor for prostitution. In an email from 2012, she told Epstein, "I love you, you are the purest man out of all men," and Epstein hired an immigration lawyer to help Shuliak obtain first her green card and then U.S. citizenship. Between 2013 and 2016, Shuliak's parents received at least $80,000, and Epstein paid for her mother's medical treatment during a battle with breast cancer. Epstein signed a 32-page trust 2 days before his death, naming 40 beneficiaries of his $600 million estate. Shuliak was to receive $100 million, with $50 million as a lump sum and $50 million placed in a trust for lifetime monthly payments. And she was also supposed to receive a 33-carat diamond ring intended for her in contemplation of marriage. According to handwritten notes in the margin of the will, this ring was meant as an engagement band, and Epstein also wanted to leave her his $27.5 million ranch in New Mexico, his $10 million Paris apartment, his New York townhouse which went for $51 million, and his 2 private islands. But Shuliak won't inherit everything Epstein willed her, because much of his estate was sold off to fund a compensation fund for his victims, which has paid out $121 million. The estate is now worth around $100 million due to fees, taxes, and restitutions, and many remaining assets are still tied up in court. No criminal charges have been filed against her. As of February 2026, apart from Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jean-Luc Brunel, no individual has been charged with a crime connected to the revelations in these files.
But the files reveal a network of the world's most powerful men who maintained relationships with a convicted sex offender, who paid him enormous sums of money, and who in some cases may have benefited from his counsel while he used their money to finance his crimes. At the very center of his final years was a young woman from Belarus who called him the purest man out of all men, who was promised $100 million and a 33-carat engagement ring, and who was the last voice he heard before his death in a Manhattan jail cell.